I am a far first, person second. Hey y'all, what's up? I'm Sabrina and welcome back to my book nook. Honestly guys, I'm kind of in my flop era. First off, I got COVID. So exciting. It was my first time getting COVID. I literally felt like I was going to die, but I'm okay now. I had a couple cough drops earlier, but my voice is still a little bit shaky. But it's been a rough couple days. I figured, what better way to utilize all this free time than to make a video? Recently, I've been listening to a lot of Phoebe Bridgers. Although not recently, I'm always listening to a lot of Phoebe Bridgers. Hopefully y'all know by this point, I am a Farb always. I am a Farb first, person second. I have several Phoebe Bridgers posters and prints up in my room. I have some of her merch. This is the one I got from her concert, which I went to her concert last September and I was in the pit, by the way. It was my first concert ever and it was literally one of the best nights of my life. I've been sitting on this video idea for a while. It's taken me a while to sort of come up with this list. But today we are going to be giving book recommendations based off of your favorite Phoebe Bridgers songs. And I'm not doing like every single song in her discography because that would take me literally like 5 hours. I'm just doing a couple songs. Personally, my favorite song is Waiting Room, which I'm hoping is going to be my top song in Spotify this year if everything goes according to plan. But just to preface, I couldn't think of a book for Waiting Room, but if any of y'all Farbs out there know books that are basically, you know, waiting room, please let me know. I would love to read them. Alright, enough rambling, let us get started. First song / book connection. If your favorite song is Moon Song, please read Conversations with Friends by Sally Rooney. Now before y'all come at me, yes, I know, Phoebe already wrote a song specifically for Conversations with Friends, the new show that came out. I don't care. That song, it's amazing. Okay, I love Sidelines. Don't get me wrong, I know there's some hate around it, but I like it actually. But it's not Conversations with Friends. I'm sorry, I know it was literally made for the show, but you're wrong. Moon Song is literally made for this book. And my dog is being annoying. We're doing this video with him on my lap again. But anyways, Moon Song was literally written for Conversations with Friends. You have the lyrics, you are sick and you're married and you might be dying, but you're holding me like water in your hands. This is literally Frances talking to Nick. Come on.
Yes! Come on, you are sick and you're married.
Nick is married, he's sick, and the dying lyric, I take that as like Nick is dying emotionally, mentally, his marriage is dying, right? But like despite all this wreckage that is going on in his life, Frances still wants him because he wants her, and that's, I feel like, a really good representation of what the thesis of Moon Song is. Moon Song is about this relationship in which one person is so much more in love with the other and they feel almost this need to love bomb this other person simply because they finally feel wanted, and they would do anything the other person asked of them, completely give themselves up because their love is all consuming and destructive, and they don't really know what to do with this powerful love besides just place it all on the other person who maybe isn't entirely ready for it. And I feel like that is the perfect description of Nick and Frances's relationship. Also, this song is a very overall slow song. It has these melancholic vibes. It's literally the same energy as the book, which is very kind of slow, very melancholic, and both evoke this very depressing yet romantic feeling inside of you. I feel like out of all of the recs that I give on this list, Moon Song and Conversations with Friends is the probably strongest connection. So moving on to the next recommendation, if your favorite song is Motion Sickness, I would recommend Perks of Being a Wallflower. I was debating a lot of different songs for Perks, but ultimately I think Motion Sickness was the best fit, simply because of the lyrics. I hate you for what you did, and I miss you like a little kid. I can hardly feel anything. I hardly feel anything at all. To me, these lyrics are about Charlie's complicated relationships with one of his relatives. I don't really want to give away any spoilers, but it sort of depicts this abusive relationship, right? I feel like all abusive relationships sort of have this weird push and pull where victims hate their abusers but also miss them, right? Because you can simultaneously hate and miss somebody despite what they did to you, especially in relationships of abuse, and especially when the victims were children, much like how Charlie was in this book. I feel like Charlie's sort of hinting at this abusive relationship he had and idolizing and missing this abuser, but also hating them for how much they screwed him over. And I feel like also the term itself, emotional motion sickness, refers to this back and forth volley of emotions, you know, which causes nausea and makes somebody's emotional state worse, right? And I feel like Charlie goes through a lot of emotional motion sickness in this book as he faces so many different things that clearly heavily affect his mental health. I feel like the song's vibes itself also is sort of reminiscent to how the book feels. Like it has this upbeat rockin' tune that sort of hides the true sad nature of the lyrics, as if it's trying to present itself as it's doing better than it actually is. If you like motion sickness, I think you would also really enjoy Perks of Being a Wallflower. If your favorite song is Funeral, I would recommend No Longer Human. So I feel like both the song and the book sort of have this innate depressing quality to them, but it's also very human and very vulnerable, you know? The lyrics, Jesus Christ, I'm so blue all the time, and that's just how I feel, always have, and I always will. The narrator, No Longer Human, has always felt like something was wrong with him, as if there was some part of himself that was otherworldly, something not human, and his depression is something that is like built into him, you know? He has always been depressed. He will always be depressed. And I think that the song sort of relates with these lyrics. It's about this ever constant feeling of just like mental fragility and how you don't really feel like you're gonna get better, and so it's like, well, what is my life gonna look like, you know? And throughout the song there are other lyrics where it seems like maybe Phoebe is feeling true emotions, or she's doing something where she's happy or like distracted, and then she'll quietly remember that she's still blue, she's still sad, she's still depressed. And again, this is echoed throughout the book, where the narrator always will circle back to the same innate sadness within himself. So basically, long story short, my main thesis for why you should read this book if you like that song is because both are incredibly depressing. Yeah. Okay. That's mainly it. If your favorite song is Graceland 2, which, by the way, amazing choice. I love that song. I'm sorry, I love all the songs in this list, but Graceland 2 always holds a special place in my heart. If you like Graceland 2, I would highly, highly recommend Crying in H Mart. Okay, now listen, I'm gonna be honest. If you truly want songs that are like Crying in H Mart, and like you've read the book and you loved it and you want songs like it, just listen to anything by Japanese Breakfast. Like, she literally wrote the book. She's the leader of the band, and they already make incredible, earth-shattering, phenomenal music. I love Japanese Breakfast so much. I think I would literally die if Phoebe Bridgers and Japanese Breakfast somehow did a crossover, or like they featured one another on their songs. I would die. But anyways, the lyrics, I would do anything, whatever you want me to do, I will do whatever she wants. Crying in H Mart, the entire book centers around Michelle's relationship to her mom and her health and her eventual decline into cancer. I feel like their relationship is very reminiscent of a typical Asian American mother-daughter relationship, which is why I found it so incredibly heartbreaking, because I found it relatable for once. I found it so realistic. It's this relationship in which the daughter loves the mother so much and will do whatever she can in any attempt to get her to stay. And I feel like it's very much relatable because I would do anything for my mom, especially if she was in that sort of state of health, right? And I feel like Graceland too, it was written by Phoebe about her friend Julian Baker struggling with alcoholism. So both songs sort of have this yearning, you know, this urge to do whatever the other person would want them to do because they want to help, because they love them, because there's this genuine relationship between the songwriter and the person it's about, and there's this genuine relationship between the author and the person she's writing her memoir about. Both of them also have this weird, like, sorry, I thought he puked on my books. But I feel like both also have this very feminine, soft quality to it, almost like this yearning that they're doing. It's something that, I don't know, women have sort of been doing their entire lives, always striving to mold themselves to fit another person, you know, to do whatever the other person would ask, because that's what we've been taught to do. And I'm going on a bit of a rant and I'm rambling and this was not part of the script. But yeah, I feel like Graceland 2 is just a song about unwavering dedication, about pure love, I guess, and I feel like this book perfectly depicts that. And it's also just an amazing fucking book. Regardless or not of if you're a fan of Graceland 2, just read this book. If your favorite song is Kyoto, I would recommend The Goldfinch. Now, there are so many books that could go with this song. Literally just pick any book with daddy issues and just go. And the lyrics, it costs $1 a minute to tell me that you're getting sober. I'm gonna kill you if you don't beat me to it. Theo's relationship with his dad is definitely one of the messiest parts of the book, and that's saying a lot. I feel like it definitely him up and affects him more than he's letting on, and I think that Kyoto is sort of this perfect song to show this messy father-child relationship. Theo's relationship with his dad, it's very distant. Like, Theo still has his own life, he still does all these really crazy stuff. He has his own life, but at the back of his mind there's always that really kind of messed up relationship he has with his dad that sort of influences all of his actions. I feel like Kyoto is reminiscent of that as well. Like, Phoebe is living her life, you know, she's traveling the world, she's going to Japan, going to Kyoto, right? But at the back of her mind, at the back of all of her actions, there is that relationship with her dad that's sort of her up. Really just pick any book with daddy issues and it would work with the song. But I also sort of love how the song is also framed as another happy, upbeat, rocking song, just like how The Goldfinch sort of drowns itself in all these crazy superficial side plots to sort of hide this sadness that Theo really holds. I feel like also with both the song and the book, you start off because you're intrigued and you're kind of like, okay, this is going all right, and then by the end you're questioning your existence and you're crying. If your favorite song is Garden Song, I would recommend My Brilliant Friend. So My Brilliant Friend, I think, is really just a million different stories jammed into one book. It's a coming of age story, a love story, a family drama story. It's just this big jumble that feels a little bit like a surprisingly well thought out fever dream, which I therefore felt like Garden Song was the perfect example for, because that song feels like a perfectly thought out fever dream. The lyrics, I don't know how, but I'm taller, it must be something in the water. Throughout the entire book, it repeats the sentiment that Elena has, where she's slowly growing up into her teen years and she's looking around her and everything around her is changing, the people, the places, you know, her relationships, and she's grown up without her knowing it. I think this book sort of has this melancholic view on the coming of age story. While these young women are coming of age, it also really just highlights the horrors of adulthood and the horrors of just real life without that sort of childlike view on it. But one thing that, however, does remain consistent throughout them growing up is Elena and Lila's still almost childlike, stubborn relationship with one another. And I think Garden Song has multiple lyrics about growing up and leaving stuff behind, and about specific places or memories or ideas that they have about the world around them, which I felt like very well fit the writing style of this book. Like, the book's main story may be about Elena and Lila, but it really encompasses their entire little Italian neighborhood and the world around them. If your favorite song is Georgia, I would recommend The Picture of Dorian Gray. Kind of a basic take, but tell me this isn't Basil talking about Dorian. The lyrics, if I fix you, will you hate me, and would you abyss and let us fall. Slight spoilers for Dorian Gray. I'm trying to avoid spoilers throughout this video, but also like the book has been out for nearly 120 years or something. But throughout the book we slowly see Dorian become more and more corrupted. He's given into his dark side. But Basil still keeps this relationship with him because he was in love with him. I feel like that was pretty obvious, but whatever. But Dorian and Basil's relationship is this very, again, toxic, where Dorian pushes the limits, pushes the boundaries of what he can do, and Basil follows him because he still wants to fix this idea of this muse he originally saw, but knows that even if he did really try to fix Dorian, Dorian would hate him. Dorian would never talk to him again, and Basil can't afford that because he's still in love with him. And Georgia is very devastating in this way too, because it's Phoebe throughout the song slowly realizing that this person that she's singing about, this person that she's in love with, is this terrible person, and she goes from like almost trying to convince herself that they love her, that she loves them, to her shouting and like begging them to open their eyes and see that she's suffering, and wondering if maybe she should just give up and just stop trying to fix them, even though she loves them so much. And I think that both this book and the song sort of start with this slow, sluggish vibe and ends with this screaming, heart torn out the chest type ending where you're like, what the fuck just happened? Basically, what I'm saying is, if Basil were real and lived today, he would be a Farb. And I stand by that. Dorian would too, okay? He's emo. I already know he would be a Farb. That took a lot longer than I expected, but those are all my book recommendations. I really loved making this video because I am a Farb. I love music. I love talking about music, and I especially love talking about music that I actually like, and I love books. So if you guys would like a part 2, let me know. You know, I'd love to make one. But yeah, that's all I have to say. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, don't. If you really hated it, give it a thumbs down. Subscribe, only if you want to though, and I will see y'all next time. Bye!